Imagine you're camping out in the beautiful hills of Caucasus, looking into the forests, gathering twigs and branches for campfire later tonight. And across the river, into the deep dark woods, you notice something's moving. You get a little closer, but not too close, and you look and you see a bear. But the bear is dead, and something is dragging it. You look closer and closer, and you finally, from the shadows of the trees, you manage to see it. A giant, hairier than the bear, with horns and fangs. A giant, 3 times larger and 10 times wider than you, hobbling through the trees like it's grass. In one hand he holds a tree like a walking stick, and in the other the bear like a bag of sack potatoes. And you look and you look and you see there are more than one hands on his massive shoulders, and one of them notices you. What do you do? Well, watch this video and find out more. Of course, I'm joking, but that might have been your first encounter with a DEVI. Devis are an ancient form of the great enemy of the hero, the evil one, the giant, the ogre, the troll, the oni, the bhutto, the div or devi. Devis are ogre-like creatures, giant-sized, hairy, with appetite of human or any type of flesh, but lacking in mind and foresight. Devis, like many other types of ogres, evoke chaotic strength, power beyond measure and without reason. In most mythologies, this type of creatures, for example, let's say giants in Greek mythology or Jotun in Norse sagas and mythology, they are the enemies of gods who try to crush and destroy our heroes, our protagonists, be it Hercules or Thor. Same way in Caucasian mythologies, Devi serve as foils of the heroes, of the godsons. In surviving Chepsor mythology, we know there is the one creator god, Morigem, who gave order to the world, and he has godsons, Chtishvilebim, who serve him as his messengers and protectors of humanity. They're sort of like demigods and heroes. Some of them are high-born, as born in the heavens. Some of them are low-born, born as humans who ascended into demigodhood. And Devis are Devis, Kaji, Chinga, and the dragons, be it sky dragons like Quelishapi or water dragons like Veshapi. Devis are the still #1 enemy of our heroes in the Caucasian and, of course, Georgian mythologies. In fairy tales, now they face up with human heroes such as Nasarkekia from a famous Georgian fairy tale, or quote-unquote Ash Digger, Ash Lad, who defeats Devi and steals their castle and their treasure through trickery, and once and for all proving that mind is stronger than might. And that's the role they play in the world mythology, and of course in Caucasus, which can be presumed as one of the oldest form of these giant anti-gods, if you will. One of the closest relatives of Devi could be considered Persian Div. But I think, as I've mentioned in my previous video on mythologies, that there is a lot of influence from Caucasus and to Caucasus from other cultures. Persians are one of those influences through to Caucasian mythologies. Now, but we are going to have to ask a difficult question. Is Persian Div the same character, same type of ogre as Caucasian Devi? I would argue that no. Caucasian Devi is still its own beast. Then the Divs are more cowardly, more jokish, like they still serve as foils to heroes in Persian mythology. But I get a different picture from them. They're more. They could be considered more comical. Have different depiction. They're close, like they're hairy with horns and the same features. But Devis in Caucasian mythology are larger in stature and big, with big bellies and big jaws and big hairy heads. So it could be considered. But I think connection between Divs and Devis is more language, because unfortunately Georgians really love taking other people's words for things that we already have. There is a lot of linguistic influence from Persia, from Egypt, from Mesopotamia, from Greeks, most recently Russia and America. So I think it's more of a way of calling dragon everything that slithers and breathes fire. It's describing a similar creature, so we use a similar name. But I think their connection is more connection with every other type of similar creature, a anti-god, the enemy of heroes. Devi, Div, Oni, Ogre, Troll, they serve the same purpose in mythology, to oppose our heroes and to be defeated by it. But I also love their symbolic and cultural meaning. Devis also, I believe, have a really interesting culture. When you read about mythologies, they're sportive, challenging heroes in throwing stones and running down hills and other activities. They're trying to be conniving, like their counterparts with Kaji, who are conniving and evil and use dark magic, but they mostly rely on their brute strength. Their culture is also really interesting. Usually they live alone or live in broods with a matriarch. That is really interesting for me. That leader of Devis is always a mother Devi, a matriarch, their mother, their grandmother, who is far more intelligent. And if heroes want to use diplomacy and cunning or some talk to a Devi, they much rather prefer to talk into a female Devi who can be reasoned with and understood well, while Devis, the male Devis, are more prone to anger and irrational behavior, because that is their nature. They come from pure chaos. They represent unwavering chaos and strength. But there is also different types of Devi. There is one-headed Devi, there are multiple-headed Devi, multiple-limbed Devi. There are Devi who can use magic and are cunning and have their own fortresses and magical items, like similar to, let's say, Ogre in Puss in Boots, or Ogre in Thumbelini, if I'm not mistaken. Ogres, of course, in Western mythologies are also same ways dumb, brutish creatures, but sometimes possess magical properties. Devi, it's depends on if there is one Devi. That one Devi might be magical and have some necromantic powers. For example, hiding their heart in a chest, in a dungeon, in somewhere and so forth. It's really interesting parallel with, for example, I've read a lot of fairy tales that have same narratives as like Devi, who hides the mortality in a secret island inside of a secret chest. That is very similar to, for example, Slavic mythology, Kashchebi Smertne, who is immortal, deathless technically, deathless lich, who is only defeated when you acquire the secret phylactery where his heart is hidden. And I've met in fairy tales, I've come across multiple Devi who, in similar ways, more powerful King Devis or Lord Devis, who hide their souls or similar ways in complicated and difficult places so heroes can get to it. Also, this is really interesting. They're not always evil. This is what I find fascinating about Devi. They're not inherently evil. They're inherently dangerous. They're inherently chaotic. They're inherently emotional and full of rage, but they're not inherently evil. They can be reasoned with, well, female Devis, and some male Devis can be tricked, especially. If their bellies are full and they're in good mood, they most likely will leave you alone. And in many cases, there are many tales of Devis inviting humans they like to weddings, even their arch nemesis, because they respect anyone with strength and power to oppose them. In ancient mythologies, we also see that Devis used to rule over humanity before God sent his godsons, the demigods, to stop them. And they held the secret of blacksmithing and magic, which is really interesting for me, because they're at same times chaotic primal beasts, but they also possess magic, scientific knowledge, and many mysteries. For example, many heroes go to Devis for help in some mysterious magic woo-woo assistance as well. But Devis are usually evil when they serve other evil beings, such as Kaji, as I mentioned before, which is another race of magical creatures that I get into later on. Or in myth of Tsiskara, they serve Grdzneuli, evil wizard who lives in the underworld. They serve as his enforcers, but they're goofy and slow-minded, and they don't beyond their strength. They don't pose any direct threat and can be dealt quite easily. And that is their dichotomy. Their pure strength without reason. Also interesting about Devi is that they can be not only reasoned with, they can also be married to. There are, for example, in Anat Saga's hero whose mother is a Devi. There is also heroes who are born with strength of Devis. Or, for example, a hero, one of the godsons, Kopalam, who is a human-born godson, which is holds a club or a flail or mace of thunder and lightning, a Thundera hero, who is of course similar to Thor or amalgamation of Zeus and Heracles. Heracles, of course, also wields a giant club and slays dragons and giants. Kopala, as modern Georgians would know him as Komblem, a shepherd hero who goes on a quest to rescue his sheep. But originally, Kopala was a human-born hero who was kidnapped, and his whole family and village were eaten by Devis. But he was a child, so they kept him around to fatten him up, but ended up raising him. And because he was raised by Devi, he has similar levels of strength. And there are many heroes who possess Devi-like strength. They are called Devgmiri, Dev heroes. Similar to, for example, Bagateri. Devs and Devis, of course, originate divine, godlike beings. So Devgmiri means godlike, a demigod, but with Devi-like strength, with unbridled, unstoppable strength that even heroes sometimes can't contain. And they go on quests and adventures because the strength they possess is so great that they cannot contain themselves in their bodies, which is really interesting. So they're forced to go on a quest to prove themselves because they can't live without battle and proving themselves. And this is really interesting for me because the ogres and trolls usually are symbols of evil destruction, but Devi are just symbols of pure power. Without reason, without mind, it can be focused for evil, for destruction, and turn into a bully. Most Devis aren't evil. I would say that most Devis are bullies because they do as popular stereotype of bullies are that they aren't smart and can't be good, but stereotypical understanding of bullies, of course, is that they only have their physical strength to rely on to get on in their lives, so they dominate others and extract be it lunch money or sheep and cattle from poor villages. But that force, that energy, that power can be used for good, for positive, for protecting humanity from evil, for defeating bad guys. And you can be a Bhag Devi, a evil, fat, angry Devi who uses his strength to bully others, or you can be Dev Gmiri, a hero Devi who protects humanity and fights for them. And that's why I love this archetype of a creature. At the same time, quite simple but quite complex. Of course, in modern age, I was joking, but I really believe that Devis are real in humanity. I believe that mythical ideals exist in humans as well as in mythology, and we can incorporate them. I, of course, just look at me with a big belly and big arms and shoulders and big beard. I've been compared to Devi a lot, and try to embody the positive, the heroic Devi, the strong protector, the strong, big, strong guy who does good for others. In modern reality, Devis are really popular figure in Georgia and in other Caucasian peoples. There are a lot of movies and old cartoons that have Devi characters in them as positive and negative figures. So we need to learn from them. Georgia is filled with Devgmiri who fight for our freedom and our liberties, for example. A lot of Devgmiri are fighting in Ukraine, defended their country so Russians can't invade us later on. And but unfortunately, as we have a lot of Devgmiri in Georgia, we have a lot of Bhag Devi, who are savage brutes with giant bellies and giant shoulders, hairy creatures who literally crawled out of some forgotten fairy tale to attack anyone and everyone who looks different from them. They, of course, serve much darker purposes. Mythology, of course, repeats in humanity all the time. And as evil Devi of old who serve dark witches and leeches, these Devi, of course, serve chaotic means of destruction, and they are servants of Russian influence and create a lot of negative perception of Georgians. And our purpose as true Devgmiri is to fight and defeat these brutes who dishonor our nation and dishonor our people and dishonor humanity itself. So be a Devgmiri, be a big strong hero, protector of your people and defender of the weak, and fight the evil Bhag Devi who seek to destroy everything and plunge the world into chaos and brutality. Thank you for watching, And if you find one of the topics interesting that I cover, please mention in the comments, and please mention your favorite mythological topic that you don't see a lot of coverage, or tell me if you want to hear more myths about Devi, for example, or other creatures from Georgian and broader Caucasian mythologies. Thank you. Thanks for watching, and take care.